Okay, today we're going to start talking about polynomials. So the definition of polynomial is a sum of monomials, and the book we used to use would count x then as a polynomial, and I did not like that because it's not a sum of monomials, it is one monomial. So to me that is not a polynomial. So a sum of monomials would be x plus y would be an example. 2 plus x would be an example. So any monomial where you're adding them. They do have some special names. The sum of two monomials would be a binomial, so this would be like a binomial. Sum of trinomial, I should say, sorry, misprint there. Sum of three monomials would be a trinomial, so x squared plus 2x plus 5 would be an example of a trinomial. The degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents of all of its variables. So if we have x to the second, y to the third, z to the fourth, the degree of this is going to be 2 plus 3, which is 5, plus 4 is 9. So that's the degree of that monomial. The degree of a polynomial is the greatest degree of its terms. So if we would take the one I wrote up there, x squared plus 2x plus 5, you look at each monomial, the degree of this is 2, the degree of this is 1. What is the degree of this? Well, it's the degree of the variables, and there aren't any, 0. So the degree of this polynomial is the greatest one. You don't add them, it's the greatest one. So that would be 2 would be the degree of that. So it's a little confusing, so you got to get those definitions straight. So let's try to use some of these things we just went over. Is this a polynomial? Well, it did say sum, but you could put plus negative. So this would be a yes. Okay? And it did say if it's a special one to name it. So is this one a special type of polynomial? Well, it has degree of 2, so yes, it would be a binomial. 8 into the third plus 5 times n to the negative 2. So is that a polynomial? Yes. And again, it's a binomial, so I'm just going to write down there. Is this a polynomial? This is where I would say no. Now one thing you do need to notice here, you can simplify this into 6a. So is it a polynomial? Yes, but it is a trinomial because it has 3 terms when you simplify. So always do look to make sure you simplify them first. So here we want to name the degree, so you look at each variable, 2, 3, and remember, don't forget the 1 there. So the degree of this would be 6. The degree of this would be 1, the degree of this would be 0, and the degree of this would be 4 plus 5, 9. That's the degrees of those. Now we're doing a degree of a polynomial, so we take the degree of each one. The degree of this one is 5, the degree of this one is 7 plus 1 would be 8, so which is the bigger, 8. Here the degree of this is 1, here we get 2, here we get 3, so the degree of the polynomial would be 3. Ascending and descending order in x, so ascending, if you ascend the stairs, you are going up, so you want the order in x to go up. So you look for something that doesn't have an x first, so negative 11, oops, sorry about that, didn't hit my writing tool. So negative 11. And then what would come next? We want the x's to go up, plus 7x squared, and then plus 2x to the 4th. So that is ascending in x's. We didn't have any other variables there. So here we want ascending in x's, so we look for the thing that does not have x's in it. Okay, so that would be the y squared. And the smallest x we have is this one, this one here, so plus 2xy to the 3rd. Make sure you keep the signs with them. Then would come this one, which is negative 3 x to the second y, and then plus 5 x to the 3rd. In descending order in x, so again you want you start with your highest x's. So looking through here, my highest x is 4, is the x to the 5th, so 4a x to the 5th. And then what do I have next? I have an x to the 2nd here, so that would be next, so plus 3 a to the 3rd, x to the 2nd. And I have an x here in the 9 one, so plus 9a squared x. And then minus a to the 4th. And that would be in a descending order of x's going down. Now I do have a mistake I need to go back and correct for you real quickly here. That's back on the first slide when we were naming whether it's a monomial. I kind of messed up on that one. If you look at this one here, remember what this would mean. This would be 5 over into the second. So this would not be a polynomial because that is not a monomial. So I kind of messed up on that to start with. Sorry about that.